The Lake Michigan Triangle is shaped like a dagger. This section of Lake Michigan has, over the centuries, earned a reputation for a place where all kinds of weird things and disasters have taken place.
I mean, we're talking shipwrecks, drownings, disappearances, strange UFO sightings, and so forth. All of this is happening in an area that is minuscule compared to the Bermuda Triangle, but equal in strangeness.
The first notable thing to happen in the Lake Michigan Triangle goes way back to 1679. Rene Robert Cavelier is a fur trader. He builds the largest ship on Lake Michigan at the time, Le Griffon.
This is a huge ship. It is a 45-ton, 7-cannon Brock.
It's loaded with fur, and he and the crew really think they're about to make bank.
It really indicates how rich this guy really wants to get. This is all about getting the furs out of the Midwest, up the St. Lawrence River, and back to Europe. So the ship's ready to set sail, but just before they go, the Native Americans there warn them that the lake is known for these strange and sudden squalls. The weather can just come out of nowhere. They hear the warning, but they don't have time for this local superstition, and they're not going to be held back.
Cavalier ignores the warnings, ordering his loaded ship to set sail while he waits behind for more furs. Le Griffon heads off into the triangle and vanishes.
There's no evidence of a storm. There's no evidence of weird weather taking the ship down. There's no evidence of piracy.
There's no wreckage, there are no survivors. It's gone.
Is there any evidence of this incredibly expensive load of furs anywhere? No. Their disappearance is a total mystery.
That boat is gone, and 340 years later, we still do not know what happened.
Le Griffon may be the first ship to fall victim to the Michigan Triangle, but it's hardly the last or the strangest.
In August of 1875, this 100-foot schooner, the Rosabel, is found floating upside down in Lake Michigan. Hull in the air, no damage to the boat. The weird thing is, the 11-man crew is gone, disappeared, no bodies in the water. They seem to just have vanished.
There's no evidence of any kind of foul play or bad weather. The ship is in such good condition, they're able to right the Rosabel and put it back to work.
And it has 50 years of fine service.
That is until an unbelievable case of déjà vu.
On October 30th of 1921, the ship is going out the next day with a load of lumber. But the captain, Ed Johnson, is having a premonition of something terrible happening.
So the captain is filled with dread and doesn't want to board the ship and decides he doesn't feel right. Can't explain it, doesn't want to get on board the ship.
Less than 24 hours later, the ship is found floating upside down. And the same exact thing happens. 11 members are missing for the second time.
The odds of this particular event reoccurring, the same exact ship, same situation, same circumstances, no evidence, crew disappears. I mean, that's just too uncanny. The odds are impossible. So when people start hearing about this particular event, even the skeptics are convinced. Something's going on out there.
Over the next 100 years, the Triangle claims hundreds more ships, prompting countless searches for evidence, but resulting in no definite answers. Then in 2007, archaeologists make an astonishing discovery.
A team of faculty and students from Northwest Michigan College begin doing sonar scans in order to find shipwrecks. But they find something they weren't looking for: a formation of rocks, seemingly intentionally put there by people under 40 feet of water.
What could these possibly be?
One of the stones appears also to have a carving on it of a mastodon. Now, the mastodon went extinct about 10,000 years ago, which would suggest that this is a really old rock formation, and that maybe, in fact, even though it's underwater now, it might have been on the edge of what was Lake Michigan at the time.
The discovery is a sensation. Some dub it America's underwater Stonehenge. But who put these stones here, and why?
One theory put forward by paranormal investigators is that, given the dark history of disasters in the lake, that this may be some sort of warning to people on shore. We don't know.
It's not just the water that's strange here. The next time you head to Chicago, you might want to check your flight path.
On June 23, 1950, Northwest Orient Flight 2501, carrying 55 passengers and 3 crew, leaves LaGuardia, headed to Minneapolis.
And the weather's not so great. It's raining, it's a bit stormy. At about 11 p.m., the captain radios air control and says, "I'd like to drop down to 2,500 feet, essentially come under the storm."
Not a strange request, perfectly natural. But at that point, the DC-4 completely disappears off the radar. Local witnesses explained that they had seen a huge flash in the night sky about the time when this would have happened. The Coast Guard goes out into Lake Michigan to find this plane has gone down. They see nothing.
And then things start showing up. People's clothes, people's luggage. It gets a little grisly because then bodies and moreover parts of bodies start showing up.
The one thing they never find? The plane.
What's weird is that we found the Titanic at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. This is only 60 feet deep. They can't find a jet airplane?
There's no fuselage, no chunk of wing anywhere. It's just gone.
Since Flight 2501, dozens more planes have disappeared here. But if you think you can avoid the triangle's pull by staying on dry land, think again.
Stephen Kabachi, 23-year-old college student, Hope College, is cross-country skiing near Saugatuck. A couple hours later, some snowmobilists find his gear in the snow. The police show up, they arrive on the scene.
They find footprints leading out onto the ice of Lake Michigan, but then they sort of disappear. So they can only assume that he fell through the ice and drowned, but there's no sign of any broken ice.
Stephen Kabachi is presumed dead.
There's a memorial service, and they decide to list him as an accidental drowning, even though the ice wasn't broken.
15 months later, Stephen Kabachi awakens in a field in clothes that don't belong to him near his aunt's house 700 miles away in Massachusetts. He has no recollection of how he got there at all.
It's a very strange story, and he does talk to the press, talks to the newspapers, but at a certain point decides to go into radio silence and never talk about it again. So it remains one of these great Lake Michigan Triangle mysteries.
Today, Steve lives a quiet life in the Pacific Northwest, thousands of miles away from Michigan's strange triangle.